your value as an individual should not be measured by your productivity in the day and the amount of things that you get accomplished. Hey, sweet mama. Welcome back to another episode of Mom in Process. As always, I'm your host and creator, Amy Cawthron. Thank you so much for joining me today. If this is your first time listening, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm sending you a huge hug and just thanking you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me and join this community of incredible moms, incredible stay-at-home moms who are focusing on ourselves in order to best raise the future generation. If you are a returning listener, welcome back, girlfriend. Thank you so much for joining me again. I know how much of a commitment it is, and honestly, an act of vulnerability to just really stick to something and commit to something and want to be a part of something. So thank you for letting me be in your head and your heart space for a little while. One of the things that I want to talk about today is actually something that I just went through. And honestly, I think it's something that we all go through at different periods and different parts of our lives, maybe even, throughout the day, all of the ups and downs. And a lot of this comes from the pressures that we feel in society today, but it's really valuing your days and reflecting on your days and your worth as what you've got accomplished that day, how many items you checked off that stinking to-do list, the never-ending to-do list. And I want to share a little story that happened with me just a few days ago because I love to share stories and I feel like we all can learn even through my trials and tribulations and mistakes that I've made. And I'm very insightful with things and I do a lot of reflective work because, well, I have the podcast in this community, but also I've really just always tried to be a self-aware person. And so it was really interesting when this situation came up and I was triggered, like almost emotionally, like physically, like, oh, this isn't okay. I need to shift this mindset immediately. And what happened was, so anyways, I want to share it with you because I feel like there's value and we can all learn from it. But what happened was Brad came home and we just did the typical, hi, how are you? How was your day? Blah, blah, blah. And then I immediately was thinking like, oh, I don't know, like my day was not great. I started to tell him like I had all of these things that I wanted to get done today and needed to get done, like really genuinely felt like I needed to do, whether or not it was a true need, we'll go into that in a little bit. But I was like, I needed to get all of these things done. And I just ended up feeling so overwhelmed by this huge list that I had in my mind. I didn't take the time to write it down and prioritize. Okay. This was all in my mind. I had all of these things that I had to do today and I didn't get a fucking thing done. Nothing. I didn't get any of it done because I got myself so worked up and so overwhelmed by the pressures and the pulling and the feeling that I wasn't getting to live like the life that I wanted to live that day because I was getting pulled to do all of these other things. So then what ended up happening was my overwhelm created this feeling and I wasn't able to get any of it done. Nothing. I got nothing accomplished. So then I was like, well, I had a shit day or I had a bad day because I didn't get anything done. But really, what I ended up doing immediately was I was like, well, but did I have, this is just going through my mind. Okay. Did I have a bad day? Or was it that I just didn't get anything done on my quote to-do list? And then, this happens really quickly. So as I was processing, well, what did we do today? If I didn't check off the things on my to-do list, what did I do today? Well, when I started looking back on it, I made a beautiful pot of tea and I sat down and I read an entire book with the girls, a chapter book. We read a whole American Girl book. It's a new series that we've started. I never read the American Girl books when I was a kid, but we had very intentional read aloud time. Lily took a great nap. So I had extra time with the older two girls. We sat down multiple times actually to do read aloud time because I read to Lily. I read picture books to Olivia. And I think we painted that day or colored that day. we did all of these other little activities. The kids played independently really well. I got some work stuff done for the podcast. I got some of those things, just slowly knocked out. I ended up making dinner for the family. We had a nice sit down breakfast. I was able to do all of these things that were more focused around connecting with my family than they were about like, quote, to do items on my list. But instead, I was valuing my worth and valuing my day, and which was my joy and my happiness based on my productivity that day. And I immediately knew that that was not right because I've done the work, in the past to know that that's okay to have a day when I maybe am not as, quote, productive when it comes to my to-do list. And I switched my terminology and I switched my mindset. I had to reframe my wording around that. And so after I told Brad I wasn't having a great day and all that had happened, that I just got overwhelmed, I was like, but I actually did this and I did that and I did this with the girls, and it's okay. I said, we just had a down day. We had a low productivity day of connection and togetherness. And really, that's okay. And I actually had to say this out loud. I actually had to kind of work this through out loud and say that to him. So I went from like crap day to like, yeah, actually, we had a good day. We had a pretty good day. But one of the things that I really, really want to hit home with you today is your self-worth. Your value as an individual should not be measured by your productivity in the day and the amount of things that you get accomplished, because that will lead to feelings of resentment to your children. Because a lot of the times, the reason why we aren't able to get those things done and those things marked off our to-do list is because your children need you in other ways. So if you're valuing your happiness or measuring your happiness and your joy based on the amount of things that you get checked off your to-do list, but your children are interrupting you because they need something, genuinely need something, then you're going to be bitter and you're going to feel resentment and you're going to feel angry. You're going to lose your temper at your children, even though they don't really deserve it, because your to-do list is seemingly more important than that time that you're connecting with your children. Now, I understand that we do need to get some things done. And there are moments that I feel better when I get some things marked off my to-do list. Trust me, this whole idea of throwing the to-do list out the window altogether, completely, forever and ever and ever, is just not, to me, sustainable, appropriate, or what really aligns with the day-to-day ebbs and flows of our life. Okay, because there are moments and there are days that we have timelines that we have to get some things done. But the question is, do you actually have to do it? Now, some things, yes, but some things, no. And the majority of the things on my to-do list that day, I didn't have to get done. Not really. We had clothes. We didn't have to get a load of laundry done. It would have been great if I got a load of laundry done that day. Absolutely. But did it happen? No. Are we going to survive? Absolutely. I had things that I wanted to do in the garden, but the weather was just not cooperating and it was a little cold and I just didn't have the energy and it just didn't happen. But does that mean that I'm not a worthy person? Does that mean that I'm a bad mother or a lackluster woman? Does that mean that I'm less valuable than another mom who had 15 things that she had on her to-do list and got those marked off? No, it doesn't at all. Because you know what? Maybe the next day I am the mom that gets 10 things checked off of my list, and that's great. And that's amazing. And I'll feel really good about that. But I should feel good in that moment, in that day that I was explaining to Brad about the things that I did do that were really really beautiful and really, really wonderful and really, really worthwhile. And that's why the gratitude journal that I encourage you guys to write in at night is so important, because it allows you that time to reflect on things that you're grateful for. But the other thing that you can do outside of the gratitude journal is like a daily wins journal. I don't really have a name for it other than just like your daily wins. And I was writing things like that down back when I felt like I was failing every single day, back when my mom guilt was strong, like bad. And I was writing down 3 wins that I had that day. And if it was sitting down and reading aloud to my children, that's a big win. If it was that all of the kids got a nap in that day, that's a huge win. If it was that I got the dishes done that day, awesome. I swept the floor that day, win. All of these things are wins, and all of these things really do add up. But our joy shouldn't come from the to-do list, the never-ending tasks that we need to get done. And some of those tasks are so mundane that we don't want to do them again. And I get that. I get that. And I had a day when it just wasn't happening, and it was okay. The next day, different story. But in that moment, I was measuring my joy, my self-worth based on what I didn't get accomplished. Okay. And there's something really wrong with that. Society values that's what society is valuing. Society values productivity. Society values checking things off of your to-do list, marking things off, and accomplishing more and more and more. And sometimes in motherhood, sometimes as a stay-at-home mom, it's just not obtainable. That's the true reality. That is a fact, that depending on the needs of your children that day, you may not be able to get anything accomplished on that to-do list. You wanted to bake some bread that day. That didn't happen. You wanted to make a home cooked meal, but you pulled out fish sticks, and that's okay. The problem that we talk about on the podcast is when this becomes an everyday, all day thing. And then that goes into mental health issues and a deeper underlying problem. But this was a one day thing that I was valuing my day on one aspect, which is not getting things checked off my list. And that's bullshit. I am an incredible person. Okay. Just like you, we are incredible mothers who are constantly striving to do a little bit better. And so if one day we had a down day, good for you. High fives. I'm giving you high fives over here if you're watching this on YouTube. Okay. I commend that. I think that is so admirable, to just have a down day, to just say, you know what? I feel very overwhelmed. I need a mental health day, and I'm not going to do my to-do list. And that's okay. It really is, because as stay-at-home moms, we have 365 days a year to check off things from our to-do list. Now, what happens is we sometimes start to postpone this and postpone that and postpone this. But here in this community, the women that are in this community, we don't do that. Okay. We are women who are constantly striving to do better. You are a woman who's constantly striving to do better. So if you had one day, okay, you had a random ass Tuesday that you just didn't get it done, it's okay. Let's move on. Let's say I still had an okay day. The kids were all fed. Nobody really got severely hurt. Everybody's alive. I made dinner, whatever, everybody got fed. We're good. Life is good. I am blessed. I am grateful. I have this beautiful home that I might have to tidy up a little bit more tomorrow because I slacked off today. But you know what? It's okay. I had a moment. I had a day. But Brad was home. We could have dinner together as a family. We had so many things to be grateful for that my fucking to-do list is going to be there tomorrow, and it's okay. It was really okay. Nothing that I had on that list was urgent that absolutely had to get done. And I really encourage you this week to not measure your self-worth and not measure your joy and your happiness from productivity. Productivity is important. Yes, absolutely. I get that. I feel really great when we get projects done around the house. I feel really great when I get things marked off my to-do list. But it doesn't mean that I should feel bad. It doesn't mean that I should feel the opposite of great when I don't get those things done. I should still feel good. You should still feel good about your days, about your life, and about who you are as a confident, strong woman, mother, wife, friend, daughter, even if you didn't get those things done. Because those things and that list and that level of productivity does not make you better than anybody else. Or on the flip side, less worthy or a worse person than anybody else. That is not the level, that is not the measurement of who you are as an individual and your self-worth. So please, I just ask you to go into this week with some intentionality and just really doing some of that reflective work on how you measure your joy, how you measure your happiness. At the end of the day, what makes you say, I had a great day today? What makes you say, I had a crappy day today? What makes you say, you know what? We got through today and that was okay. Is it because you spent time outside? Is that what made you have a great day? I encourage you to think about it. I also encourage you to write it down. What happened during the day to make you have a bad day? What determines in your life whether or not it's going to be a great day or a bad day or just a mediocre day that we got through and that's okay? Write it down. Do some reflective work on it, but don't measure your joy, your happiness, and your self-worth from the to-do list because that to-do list is never ending. It's always going to be there. And trust me, the other mom that you're possibly comparing yourself to, which is what happens to me and everybody else, that other mom has down days. That other mom is not productive at 110, throttle wide open every single day. It's just not sustainable because it causes burnout. So sometimes we need those down days. Some days we have low productivity. And that doesn't mean that you're not worthy. It doesn't mean that you had a bad day. So go into this week reflecting on it. Go into this week really seeing what brings you joy, what determines your happiness, what determines a bad day or a good day. Let me know if you're interested in sharing. Hop on over to our private Facebook group and let us know your wins and let us know your losses. Let's just start the conversation around this. And with that being said, thank you so much for listening today, Sweet Mamas. I hope you have an incredible week. Thank you for listening again. I look forward to talking to you all again very soon.